Hello everyone, good afternoon. As usual, my name is Linda, and will I say fortunately this afternoon we have two back-to-back interviews on the SME, African SME story. So if you will join me again, I will tell you what we're going to be doing today. Thank you for joining in. Hello, as I said earlier, my name is Linda, and I will be your host today on the African SME story. And this time around, we are talking to someone else. So the first 1 hour between 2 to 3, we interviewed Mr. Ayo Olayinka, who is the co-founder of BU Power Nigeria Limited. They provide power for different estates and companies across Nigeria and 24 hours power supply. But let's leave that and then let's go into the next one. This afternoon from 3 to 4 now, I will be talking with Shayo, who is a marketing strategist, like a marketing consultant or expert. So she has a lot of experience in this, and I am waiting for her to send me a request, or I just send her a request before I start reading her 360 degree. Before I start reading her bio, so she is the MD, or like I said, the owner or founder of 360 Degree, and she has been doing that for quite a number of years now. She started in 2007. I will want her to come in before I read her profile and tell you what she has done. We'll be talking about marketing and then how can SMEs really project their business out there despite the issues that we've had. Talk about COVID-19, the crisis, no sales, no money, no resources. A lot of things have happened. But what do you need to still keep doing to be in business? And marketing is key. So if you do have a product and you don't know how to sell it or where to sell it or what to do to make sure that you're visible and people can see you, then your business is also going to die. So we'll be talking about how SMEs can put things in place. What tools do they need to have? What basic things do they need to put out there? Can they sell online? How do they sell online? Who do they sell to? We'll all talk about, having social media presence. Can they sell from their social media handles? How do they pay them? Talk a bit about how they can keep selling to remain in business. So Shayo, who is the marketing consultant and expert, will be telling us a few things that SMEs need to put in place to be able to grow their business. Shayo, I am waiting for you. I have sent you a request to 360 Degree. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you join us and just click on the BD live, it would send me a request that you will appear in my interview, and I will also accept. If you join in, we can start. So I said this is the second show for today, and then today we are having Shayo Odunsi. And we're also going to be talking about the Africa SME story. She's just going to be sharing with us what SMEs need to do to remain in business. Shayo, have you seen my request, or do you want to send me a request to appear in this live interview? Any of them can work. You can send me a request once you log in. That's 360. I hope we are having a good day so far. We are keeping safe and staying home, except we really have to go out. And if we have to go out, please let's take the right precaution. Make sure you wash your hands, stay off people, social distance, wear your mask. Just try all the right things that we've been asked to do. I'm sure we'll be fine. We'll stay safe and come out of this. Okay, so Shayo, I can see 360 degree. That's it. The view. We should have Shayo up in a bit. Okay, so while I wait for Shayo to come, I think I have a profile ready. Hi, Shayo. Nice to have you in.
How are you?
Thank you for joining in. Good to have you. So I had a bit of introduction telling them about what you do, but I'll read your profile now. I'm not sure I can take everything, but I'll take some of it so that they know how that you're a real expert in this journey. Don't mind me. Okay, so Shayo Odunsi is a marketing strategist with over 12 years cognitive experience in corporate and organizational marketing, branding, sales, and account management. Shayo's professional clientele boasts several global Fortune 500 companies including frontline tech phenomena like Yahoo, globally renowned financial giants like HSBC, multinationals like Accenture and Unilever, just to mention a few. She's also a PR consultant with Unilever, saw her develop and implement strategic PR campaigns, which resonated and still resonate greatly with millions of Nigerians' demographic users for brands like Omo, Close Up, Royco, PS Baby Products, and many more. She launched 360 Degrees in 2007, that's 13 years ago, a strategic marketing agency to empower SMEs specifically to build great brands that are sustainable and globally output. So it's key that you have a brand that can outlive you. She has developed strategies for guys like Rough and Tumble, African Leading Children, clothing brand and chains, for Muka Foam, Diamond Bank, Business Express, MedPlus, Gems 4, and several other leading SME packages and brands. Shayo is also a United Nations Development Program certified trainer on entrepreneurship development, and also an alumnus of Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Initiative on Entrepreneurial Management at the Enterprise Development Center of the Pan Atlantic University. She holds a bachelor's degree in marketing from University of Portsmouth and was awarded a distinction on her thesis, which states Strategy of Ethnic Entrepreneurship in the United Kingdom. Shayo, you have done very well. On this note, I will definitely leave the floor for Shayo to give us a brief introduction on what we're going to be expecting or seeing today, and then we can now dive into the questions of the day. Please, if you do have questions, please just send us the questions and I will take them as we go. Shayo, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hi Linda, thank you for having me. Hi everyone, it's great to be here. So literally, I think one of the things that is important, or something that I would really like to share today, is just some of the things that we've been going through as a business and trying to adjust and navigate the changing marketplace of what has happened during this COVID-19, and also looking at how to forge ahead post-COVID. But I don't want to talk too much about myself, because the business that we do, we're a marketing agency and we actually serve SMEs. That's what we've done for about 12 years. So we remain very much behind the scenes while we push our clients to the forefront. So a lot of what I'll be sharing today is just more of what we're seeing in the marketplace, what we're challenges that they're facing, how we're helping them to navigate through that, but also what SMEs in general as well. I mean, this is also a learning curve for me and for us. You know, we're obviously, some things are becoming obsolete so fast, and we're having to now focus on what's the core of what we're really doing. So you're asking a lot of questions like why am I doing what I'm doing, and you know, who am I serving? So those are some of the questions that we need to start asking ourselves now as business owners, and how can we continuously deliver that value. There are a lot of words that I think we say, so they're very nice things, especially within the marketing and business. There are many buzzwords, you know, customer experience, all of these things that we you know, we talk about, value proposition, unique value proposition, you know, all of these different steps. But I think it takes us to have a thoughtful approach into how, you know, we're doing what we're doing, because that's the only way we're going to survive, you know, survive this as businesses going forward. So yes, that's a snapshot.
You've done well. Thank you very much. So let's dive in. So our first question for today will be that what are the key elements of marketing that will help SMEs during this season? What do you think they can do? How? And of course, I would definitely want to chip in that, because we're discussing with SMEs, they have to be very cost effective. No big price that they cannot afford. You know, things that they can do to just remain out there. You know, the problem with SMEs is that once they just hear stuff around marketing, publicity, PR, their heart just skips a bit, and I don't really know why they are scared. Sometimes I'm wondering, is it that you're hiding, you don't want me to know you're doing a business, or is it that you don't have the money? Because if these things are really key and important, then spend the money to make more money. My thoughts anyway, but I'll leave that to you as the expert.
No, I agree. I think marketing is an investment. It is, something that you have to look at as an investment. I think the reasons why a lot of SMEs shy away from it is because they are not sure whether they will get a return on whatever it is that they put out. And also because marketing is something that has been mostly misunderstood. So that's, the question that you just asked is something that addresses that. So you mentioned things like PR, for example, advertising, publicity. That's just one element of marketing. That's your promotions bit of that marketing. And those things actually will depend on who your customers are. So before you even get to that point of saying, I'm going to do publicity, I'm going to do advertising, I want to do a billboard, because some people go from SME level and start doing billboards. It's because they haven't really understood the whole marketing process, and that's what I want to elaborate on this afternoon. So marketing, first of all, has different components, to it. So a lot of what we see as marketing, like as I mentioned, is more of the promotion side. So you see advertising, you see PR, you see a Google ad or a social media ad. That's a promotion aspect of marketing. And something I like to always ask, maybe when I go for training or I speak to clients, is a question I always ask is, when does marketing actually start? Is it before, or when? Is it before the business starts, during the business, or is it after you have launched? And I think that's where, all these elements of what marketing is actually coming into play. So I'll just mention some key things. Many people know these things or they've heard of it somewhere, whether in school or something, but there's very little practice of it in terms of when it actually comes to implementation. And what I would like to say is that these things remain at the core of marketing, because at the end of the day, the customer or the client is the focus or the essence of the business. That's actually why the business exists. So there might be new fads or new buzzwords and things like that, but these core elements are the things, are the framework that guide marketing plans or marketing strategy. And if you just focus on one element of that, for example, on the promotions bit, without taking into full cognizance the whole process, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So I'll first of all start by saying that, have the client, the target audience of the market that determines why, we go into business anyway. So there's a need or an idea that we have decided that, we have seen, or an opportunity that we feel that we have seen in the market, and we feel that people would value or they will pay money for, So we have these elements that I would like to call, or normally, or famously called the 7 P's of marketing. We might not cover all of it in this session, but it's something that is very important, that people need to sit down and test every element of their proposition, because this is what makes your overall value proposition at the end of the day. So we look at things like your product. That's your first starting point, because you obviously came up with something that you decided that the market would like. Now, how did you arrive at that product is the first that needs to be asked. For example, did you test it? Did you identify a pain point or a pleasure point that the customer had? Did you know whether the customer actually values that product enough to pay money for it? So in coming up with a value proposition, so the challenge is that most people jump to promotion without tightening this product offering first. Whether it's a product or a service, what am I giving? What is the value that I'm giving here? Do you understand? Because if I am truly trying to take pain away from this customer, or I'm trying to give them pleasure in however it is that I'm thinking, I'm solving a definite problem. And how am I solving it? To the best of my ability, that it will be hard for them to be able to, from somewhere else. So I think there is that thing that needs to happen in terms of identifying the product first and making sure that you have a tight enough product that answers real problems and answers the real questions that the customer or the client might have. Now we look at things like the second P that I'd like to mention is called place. So place really talks about how do customers access your products. Now, place used to be you have a store or you have a shop where people will come and buy. But that has disrupted right now, because now you have to start thinking a bit differently about the channels in which your customers access your products. It might not even be your own channel. It is mostly now you have a mixture of channels where some people have online, you have a mixture of online channels, your own channels, but you even have to think again, where are my customers? What is the easiest point for my customer to access my product? Again, I'm drawing you back to the customer. I'm drawing you back to addressing the need of the customer, because when we come up with a fantastic product or an idea, we're so into it ourselves, we're passionate about it. We're like, this idea is going to sell. And it is very inwards, so we need to look at it from that side, from a place point of view. So place literally means, how are my customers going to get or access this product? So that can be online. We can see increasingly now, especially with what has happened with COVID, businesses that just stuck to a strict definition of having a physical location and with their businesses online. So it's not just also saying online in terms of my own place, but also opening your mind up to look at what other places can they access that might not even be my own place. Maybe I'm collaborating with somebody else or another channel that I can put on. Amazon is a great example. Amazon is a great example of that. Another P that I would like to also mention, so I've talked about price, I've talked about place, I'm going to talk about process as well. Now, this is something that a lot of people miss out, because in delivering your overall product, service, or offering or delivery to your clients, there has to be a process of getting it to them that makes them happy. So if there are bottlenecks, for example, so let's say you have a process that involves delivering a product, let's say logistics. Maybe you are selling something that involves delivering a product to a client. Maybe you have an online store. If anything goes wrong within that process, if you have not tidied that process enough from the customer inquiry, from the point where the customer makes the order, from the point where the delivery guy, the many times you are the one having to call the delivery guy about, where are you? Those are things that could either hamper the value proposition that you're giving, to your customer. So process means thinking through from start to finish about how the customer or the client gets the product or the service. There are different ways that you can even innovate within that to differentiate. So every time people are looking for, how do I differentiate myself from my competitors? These are the different places or the different elements that you can pick to now see, okay, can I differentiate my process to make sure that I am delivering excellently? Can I do something differently about the channel, which is the place to where my clients access my products or my services? Always bearing in mind what the customer actually needs at that point in time. I'm only going to talk about one more P. There's 7 of them, but I won't be able to talk about all of them. I mentioned the other ones, just randomly. But I think people is also very important. People. So before we go to start advertising and promoting and communicating on our social media channels, the people that you are using to deliver your service, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it is the front-facing staff, anybody that is in contact, or that is responsible for delivering that ultimate value to that customer, it is very important that they align with your marketing objectives and your brand values. Because at the end of the day, all these things affect your price, it affects your overall value proposition. So that at the point where you now decide to communicate something online, it has to match the experience that it has to match the experience that we're giving or the product that we're selling. So what happens a lot of times is that we communicate something, but there's not enough trust by the customer or the client that we can actually deliver on this. And that's the challenge, that it's an ongoing, that's something that even we also have to continually work on that to make sure that we are integrating that process. So the important point that I've made here is that there are different elements to marketing, and we should not just focus on the promotion. Understanding your target audience allows you to make cost-effective decisions. So for example, if I know that my target audience, so let's give an example of a children's brand. Let's even give like a clothing brand or something, and all of that. And I understand that my target audience are parents, so let's say maybe we have schools within estates, for example, and I know that the easiest way for me to reach them are within the schools, within those estates. I will not start going on radio to start advertising first for that clothing brand. I will first of all look at what are the existing channels, where do these people spend their time? How do they interact? Where do they live? When I mean by live, during the day, what are they doing from morning till night? What are they getting in? I try to position myself in that way to me within those avenues for me to put out my messages, for me to promote my products, or for me to create possible collaboration. So it frees your mind to be creative, actually, because there are limited opportunities. I think there's an advantage of being an SME with limited budget. The advantage is that you can be as creative as in you can come up with really effective ways, to get your product. But it's important that the value proposition, what we are offering, is something that is actually valuable, to the client or customer.
Shayo, you have killed it though. I can just leave you to just be going on and on. Is there any need to ask you the second question? I was saying that, is there any need to ask you the second question? Like, you have actually taken us through a very, very good process with these 4 Ps. Like, I think we can end it here. We don't need another question, Shayo. Anyway, some people agree with you. They agree with you that it's really key that SME should invest in marketing. It's not just hoping that you will sell. And you also need to make sure that there's value.
It's like tithe. It's like tithe. It's like your tithe. Your 10%.
I give the example.
I'm just joking.
I give an example that marketing is like having a child. Is that what you said? Oh, you said tithe. I said a child. So, for instance, you have a child and the baby is like a year or 5. Then you want that baby to drive your car for you, or go to the market for you, or build a house for you. So sometimes you might have kids that you have to take care of for like 20 years, 22, 25, 30. But then once they are stable, they start taking care of you and you forget all your sorrows.
Exactly. It's an investment.
In 2 years to go and bring water for you bring the hot kettle from the fire. How? We can't. So people need to really be patient. And I think that really goes to SMEs actually, because they always want it in a hurry. They are very fast. They just want, I have a product. I know the place. I know the price. And I've done marketing. I need to sell 1 million. How? It's not, I think for me, sometimes it's magic. That's now magic. It's not
the
normal process of how things.
It is magic.
So, to my next question. What is the importance of marketing to SMEs? We talked about the fact that they always complain that they don't have money. I just want to just give them a few points on why is it important for SMEs to actually take part in marketing or kind of have marketing.
Okay, I mean, you answered some of it. marketing, like as I said, I started out from the beginning saying that the business is about the customer. Our
Sure.
businesses exist because if there's nobody giving us exchanging value for what we have, then we're not in business. And the core of marketing really is about the customer. Forget all the gimmicks and all the, I know they, like as I said, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what marketing is, but at the heart of marketing is about delivering and creating value, consistently and continuously for the client. So marketing provides that. And that's why I asked that first question about when does marketing actually start? So before you even start a business, you would have spent time to understand the customer, to research. They call it market research or market survey. What you are doing even at that point is you're trying to understand who the customer is. You're trying to understand how you can solve their problem, how you can make their life better, because that's the way you're going to be able to exchange some value for them. So marketing is not a one-time process. The reason why I say that is because your customer is continuously changing. Their needs are evolving. So if we have made the point that your business revolves around the customer, and you are not investing in understanding them, in understanding how to reach them, in understanding how to communicate to them, in understanding how to keep improving your products or your services to meet their needs, then very soon, that business cannot be sustainable. So I like to call marketing the machine or the engine that runs your business. So marketing is actually the machine that runs your business. Obviously, along with the other parts that go along with it. But marketing is what guarantees that you're generating revenue, you're generating sales into your business. So it's like the lifeline of the business, and that's why it's critical to invest and in marketing. I know that people say that, oh, because they've done marketing that did not give them results, they shy away from, or feel that, oh, they're spending on something and they're not seeing the results from it, which is why I bring those elements back into play. You have to be very strategic about how you do your marketing. So you need to, because the difference between SMEs and maybe large corporations is an SME cannot afford to wait for too long to start saying, I mean, you need to be able to sustain.
No.
You need to be able to sustain the business, which is why understanding, the key thing is actually understanding your customers is very key. Understanding how and where you should be spending your money is also very key. So forget tactics, focus on strategy. Tactics is printing flyer today. Okay, flyer did not work today. Okay, let me try social media. Why and what and how? Those are the questions that need to be asked. So for it to be effective, is another set of choices that you need to make. But marketing is critical for the survival of SMEs. If I had to draw a triangle, so triangle, SME on top, or entrepreneurship on top, at the base will be marketing.
I agree with you. I agree. So this brings me to my next question, but I'm going to merge two questions here. So what are the challenges that SMEs are facing currently in terms of marketing? And then how can they use marketing to pivot or leverage their businesses during this period? I know a lot of them are going through a lot of problems now.
Okay, I think generally we all, I mean, I still call I'm an SME as well. So I feel that there are a lot of things, and that's why even in working with the clients that we work with, I feel the pain and I understand a lot of what it means basically to to try and grow something from scratch, pay bills, build a team, all of that. So even in offering solutions, you are able to understand different pain points. So there are many challenges that we're all facing right now. Challenges that affect the shrinking or the decreased buying power of some of our customers and clients. So it means that they are evaluating and prioritizing. So they're not being frivolous with their spending. They're looking at they're looking at critical things. What is critical to spend on right now. So if your product or service is not an essential service or something that is addressing, if it's not health, if it's not, or leisure like entertainment or information, education, or just different things that are essential and crucial to their basic living or daily life. People are struggling on deciding on, how to spend. So we all faced, SMEs, or, all of us are faced with the fact that our customers or clients are reevaluating, their choices and even their decision to do business with us right now as it is. Other things that are also pertinent are also people finding it difficult to reach new customers. So what happens is if you're having a decreasing clientele or a decreasing customer base, the next thing you're thinking is, okay, how can I reach more people? How can I get my products or services in the face of more people? But, people are now looking and thinking, okay, how am I going to do that? First of all, what's happened is now there's a lot of noise because everybody is promoting online. There's even an information overload from a consumer point of view. So SMEs are really asking questions and saying, okay, how do I put my own product or service out there? How do I get across to the people that need it the most? Another third thing is that for some businesses, their businesses have actually become redundant. So what they were offering before might no longer be relevant enough that somebody is willing to pay for it, or a sizable number of a customer base is willing to pay for it. So for some people, they're having to rethink their business and, explore and just say, okay, are we still doing this or not? And cash flow, cash flow.
So were you able to, I was hoping you could also portray on the kind of marketing that they could do to help them come out of this problem.
Okay, so for that second question, it takes me back to the customer again and understanding your current customer needs. So I mentioned from the beginning that needs are evolving. What customers want might evolve, for example. That's within your current customers. So it's important that we are talking to the customers, our clients. We're trying to understand where they are at currently right now to see if there are any gaps immediately with our current resources or assets. Another thing is also with what we currently have, your assets, your strengths, and your resources, are there possible new segments, customer segments that you can attract? And some people have been able to pivot really well, doing this. So, I've heard stories of maybe people that were doing alcohol businesses, maybe for pubs and restaurants. Now we know that nightlife has closed down. People are not going out as much and all of that, and people are producing, they have alcohol and like this alcohol business, and that's the main ingredient that goes into sanitizers. So with what they currently have in terms of ingredients, raw materials, they've been able to, just really leverage or pivot into another segment or market space, at least for this time being. So I think the second thing is really looking at your strengths and your assets and trying to identify what other customer segments can you create new offerings or new products for based on the needs that you're able to identify, based on the problems that need to be solved currently as well. Another example is the food industry. So obviously for a long time, people might not even be able to congregate fully in eating in a restaurant or anything like that. There might be people that offer some kind of specialized, specialized food items or menus. But for the most part of it, another way to look at it is, focus on another segment. So let's say, for example, people used to come in to eat in the restaurant, or you used to do delivery to people offices. Now you are targeting either the employee or the owner. If we focused on a different segment entirely and look at the business owner, what are they trying to achieve during this period? A lot of people are working remotely from home, for example. Their challenges and all of that. Is there a way that they could develop a package where you can be delivering to the employees, at least even if it is once a week, an employee plan for meals? Because some companies actually do weekly meals once a week. They give their staff all of that. They give them. So it might just be a way to basically endear that loyalty, welfare, or trust. So it really takes focusing on the needs and looking at the opportunities within those, and look at what your current assets or strengths are and how you can tap into those opportunities.
Please, Shayo, I have a question with this example that you're
Yes.
giving. Some people really enjoy a lot when they work when they're at the office. So they have free food, morning, afternoon, night, breakfast, lunch. Some even have dinner before they go home. With this plan, with companies not making money, how do you expect me to feed somebody who's at home and send
No,
me
once
food?
a week, once a week. Some people feed
Sorry, are you
once
sure
a
that's going to work? Sorry, how is that going to work?
once a,
Your
if you
friends
have
at
if you
home
have
now.
like that, you can just do food delivery like once a week, just to appreciate your
Who is going to
staff.
pay? Shayo, who? The employer or the
No, the
employee? Who is paying? The, the company.
the
Shayo.
company.
Okay, I will skip this question and ask afterwards, because Shayo,
No, it's just that
I
I'm
don't know
trying
if
to
your
make a
company is going to
point
pay for me to
about.
get food at home once a week. That company must be amazing. Please, you need to give me the name of that company. Oh. Let me also go and look for them. But it's okay. It's good. It's fine. You're just giving them options, and I just wanted to
Yes.
just wanted us to have a good laugh. Okay, so to my next questions, what are the common mistakes and errors that SMEs make with marketing? What have you seen over the years that they keep doing that is wrong, that they need to change or learn from?
I think first of all, not having a plan,
Everyone is
not
saying this.
have no, yes, not having a marketing plan, not having a marketing plan, and in that plan, that includes your strategy and all of that, how you intend to achieve your objective. So I find out that because people don't have a plan, they actually spend more or waste. I shouldn't say spend. I think there's a lot of wastage. Because they're doing things off the bat, like, okay, this one works today, let's try this one tomorrow, and all of that. They're not consistently there's no roadmap that you're saying on a monthly basis. I'm consistently doing this, I'm reviewing it, seeing what works, what doesn't, so that I can apply more resources here or put it here. So I think not having a plan is key, which also goes to the second one, not having a budget. Not having a budget. No,
That's a
it's
very
part
hard
of
question to ask, Oshayo. Do you have
it's
a
part
budget?
of the plan, because you have to have something earmarked. It doesn't even matter, which is why, so there's like a thumb of the rule. You can say 5%, 10%. Like you just gave an example. Somebody said they want to make 1 billion naira in a year, or they give themselves a target of making 1 billion. Okay, how are you going to make the 1 billion? How many people do you need to reach to make 1 billion naira? How are you going to reach them? But do you understand? Do you get, like,
I guess.
what is it going to take, to do that? So growing in a way that is sustainable for your business also means looking at what you can put back and grow with. So you are growing, you're investing, you're growing, you're reinvesting into your marketing as well. I think that's very, very critical. So I've seen that the main thing, I've seen people that have good businesses, good ideas, and you know that this is going to sell. but they don't have a plan, or they haven't been able to consistently do something, so they can't convince anybody else that this thing actually works because they've not been able to show the success, the success of it.
I think you've actually answered that question well. I want to chip in a bit. You know how sometimes you meet some SMEs and they say, I have 100K and I want to reach everybody in Nigeria and I want to make 500 million naira profits. Please help me. I think sometimes we also have what is called under budget to make you want to over deliver as the marketing consultant expert. So
yes,
I don't
not
really
having
want
a realistic
magic. I think that's the word.
Yes.
I think that's the word.
So not having a realistic estimate of your resources and what you want to achieve. So you are estimating of, and it's because it's actually analytical, a bit is systematical, because you have to look at the numbers when you break it down. If you say, okay, what's the cost per sale? What's the cost of acquiring one customer? If you look at it like that, to acquire one customer, if I look at all the things I have to do to acquire one customer, and you now do the number across, you will realize that you're dreaming. So we shoot ourselves in the foot by having unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations.
Where the person wants to eat, I sometimes use the word, I sometimes use the example where you want to spend 15 naira in a Chinese restaurant and eat 3-course meal. It's not possible. Okay, so to my next question, what's the difference between marketing and sales? We get that a lot. Like, so many people always have problems. So I've done marketing, I'm not seeing sales, or I'm selling and yet I didn't do any marketing. I don't think so. Can you help us understand the difference between the two, and if it's necessary to have the two, and maybe why?
Okay. So there's a way I like, they're intertwined, but the way I like to explain it like this is, one is an end and one is a means. So sales is the end result. Your marketing is the means in terms of how you actually get that result. I also like to use like a maybe harvesting scenario. Do you understand? Everything, you plant your seeds, you water the ground, you put all of that to grow. When it actually comes, somebody comes and harvests it. So the sales is the harvest, but everything that you've done up to that point to actually get it to the point where it's ready for harvest is your marketing. So marketing, if done well, makes sales actually very easy, because you're bringing in the harvest for people to collect. So marketing is a process. It's a whole element, it's a whole process, and sales is part of that. It's part of that process. Your marketing helps you to understand your customer. It helps you to generate interest in your product and services. It helps you to generate leads, so potential customers to actually come and see what you are doing. And your sale is the things that you do to convert that customer ultimately to a paying client. I also like to use another scenario. I think I've used it for about 10 years now, but I think it's still relevant. So in a dating relationship, when a man, for example, or a guy is interested in a lady, or maybe vice versa, you are trying to woo somebody, in this case your customer or your client, you want to woo them. I mean, you don't just go and start making a proposition like, oh, marry me. So no. You take a step back. You would have watched them, observe, study, their likes, their dislikes, where they like to eat, what they like to do, so that by the time you come back, you come up with an offer, you give them that offer. It's easier for you to just close the deal, because you have literally just, their fit. So I think that whole process is what I like to call marketing, and sales is essentially closing the deal.
I can't even agree less. Someone says, good point. I agree. I totally agree. I agree. Okay, so to my next question, what are the marketing platforms or tools that SME need to have now? First, I want to go in a bit because you meet lots of SMEs who say they are in business, and you know the first thing, like you said, you need to have a process. So someone wants to check you out, right? So the person is checking if you have basic things like website or social media, and the person is saying I don't have. And every time I always get baffled or wondering, if you don't have these basic things, then what do you have? Like, how are you selling? How are you meeting your customers and all that? I think this is something really key that people want to find out. So we need your suggestions on tools and platforms that they need to have to help them to sell their business or products better.
Okay, so I would like to categorize the platforms into three. So I'd like to categorize them into paid platforms, owned, so paid, that's platforms that you actually pay for.
Yeah.
Owned platforms. Owned platforms are things like they are your own, like your websites, your social media pages, for example, your Instagram and all of that. And then earned media. Earned media are things that you get as a result of the work of the work that you've done, or the value that you have delivered. Now, for paid media, you have, the things, obviously, the goal of every SME is that you want to increase your visibility, you want to have awareness so that people will know more about you, and you have a funnel that is bringing in new customers consistently. So that's why people, businesses advertise. So you advertise on your Facebook, SME, Google, Google pages, Google adverts, and all of that. Advertising at the moment has to be done, very strategically, because what you find is that, like as I mentioned earlier, in terms of getting people's attention, is becoming quite crowded. People's attention spans, because there's just so much, people are seeing so many offers. So you have to be really creative, in how you put your, in terms of, if you decide to, explore the paid routes, what is the messaging that you're putting out? For example, how are you running? How are you engaging your audience? If you know that your target audience engage better with video, then your ads should literally run with engaging video content, and all of that. So COVID has, like as I mentioned earlier, the COVID has ensured that most businesses now have to consider, not even consider, you have to be digital. Because the situation has changed so much that you are having a hybrid of, if you didn't exist digitally, or if you didn't have any digital properties before, you actually have to consider having that now. For your own media, like your website, that you actually have a bit of control over, it's important that you have that presence. For people that might be maybe selling products, it can be physical products, it can be services. You need to also look at I mentioned place in the beginning, how people access your products or services. It shouldn't just be social media. It shouldn't just be Instagram or Facebook, because today Facebook and Instagram decide to decide to lock down, you're not going to be able to, there's nothing, so you have to be building some traffic to your website. You have to look at things about creating either a community or an email list where you are engaging your clients, where you actually have, some sort of lead generation strategy that keeps them and keeps their properties with you. So your website are things that you need to look at as a place where people actually engage your services. That's something we're even having to look at also too now, where people can actually purchase and buy, whether you're a service or you're a product. It's not just that dormant place where you just put it on your signature and say, okay, I have a website. But it's now, how do we make it, yes, how do you make it engaging? How do you make sure that the experience, when people come on it as well, they're able to get what they want, from it? So heavily, I feel that people need to look at that, their websites, create some kind of, whether it's a community or an email list, something that you're offering that is of value, that helps you engage your customers and drives traffic to your website, whether it's creating content, creating some form of value in terms of content, articles, or other lead generation magnets as well. For end media, I like end media because I really feel that there's a end media, EARNED, like as I said, is, you're not paying for it. Has the potential of doing a lot for your business. So for the early stages of our business, like as I mentioned, we've had to rely more on referrals, for example, word of mouth. I think it's just of recent that we're, looking at, being more visible because we've more worked behind the scenes and put out our clients, at the forefront instead, without feeling the need to actually be, do all of that marketing ourselves. But I think that's a general challenge that service businesses face, businesses that are within the services sector. So end media is something that we need to leverage on in terms of the talkability, the word of mouth. And that only comes when we're delivering a wow experience for our clients and our customers, because we have understood them so well, because at every point, we're bringing it, like we're giving them back to back, and solving their problems. So of course they would tell somebody. And you have to also look at, so the way I see it is that you don't wait and assume that they should tell somebody. We also have to be proactive and create opportunities for them to refer our businesses and, create those word of mouth talkability for the brand or business as well.
You have killed it, Shayo. Killed it. Totally. Like, I actually have learned 3 things already. So you have to have the paid platform, you have to have your own platform, and the end one. I'm actually wondering to myself which one is the most important, or they are all equally very important.
I think it's a combination. You have to use a combination at this stage. But you just have to decide based on your target audience again. What channels should I use for my target audience? If your target audience is not on Instagram, do you understand? If they're not, if maybe YouTube videos are the way to get them, if it is comedy videos that are watching, that means that if you are running ads, you should be looking at Google ads that are targeting videos like that. Let's say you're targeting a younger demographic. Maybe they have moved off Instagram, they are now doing TikTok, they are now doing so. I can't emphasize understanding the target audience, as in that's really where you nail it. Honestly, that's where you nail it, because you begin to see opportunities that you didn't even see before.
I think understanding your audience and how they're moving is quite difficult with the way people move from one platform to another. Like, if you really want to catch the very young people, right now they've left Facebook, they've left Instagram, they're either on Snapchat or they're on TikTok. And I'm wondering, this TikTok thing, I don't get it, where everybody's trying to mimic someone and say, I'm like, how many of this?
How do you keep up? How do you keep up?
I think that's the word. How on earth do we keep up? You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Instagram. And then for the young people that have all, I'm like, how? How do you manage? And then I tell some people that the worrisome thing now is how the data runs. Oh my God. Once you just go on some YouTube video or go on Instagram or even TikTok, the way you just check, they'll just send you a statement like a text, your data is running low, you have so and so MB left, please. And you're like, I just loaded this data yesterday now, but it's really, but I think for SMEs, some of the problems they're going to be wondering also is, how do we keep up with the way people are moving? Especially if you also have a dynamic changing audience like the young people who, when it's no more bubbling here, we move to the next app that is bubbling. But
you have to grow with them. You have to grow with them. You have to grow with your audience. It's like a relationship too. It's just like saying if you were married, for example, or if you're in a relationship, there is an evolving process. So if we really understand that we are serving these customers, sometimes that's why you have people that spend. I want to give an example if we have time. How did Apple discover iPod? So it happened basically, the idea came from watching people. Do you remember that disc player that we used to have?
Yes.
The mini disc, yes, now that you put one CD, you remove it, put one CD. And it was just spent observing. Now, those people did not know that it was iPod that they were looking for or that they needed. There wasn't any product like that existed. But from somebody observing that, oh, this person wants to listen to, wants a mix of music, but he has to be removing one CD. When he finishes the one CD, he has to remove another CD, puts it. Why can't he just have a playlist? From understanding that, they were able to come up with a product. So it involves getting out of our environments, getting out of our chairs, offices, spending time with the people, spending time doing survey, research, interview questions, all of these things to try and understand, what's happening, what's going on, keeping your pulse to the market.
That's a hard task, though.
Yes, I saw somebody that just made a comment. You need to be a student of the market, knowing when to move next. I agree totally. It's a continuous school, continuous. It does not end.
Totally. Shayo, we're almost running out of time. And so
Yeah.
I will want you to end with my final question, and then maybe if you have any notes of what they can learn. How do SMEs become global brands? We have like 3 minutes left, so we'll do that and I'll do a wrap up and we'll call it a day. You have been amazing.
Thank you. Okay, so how do SMEs become global brands? I think right now you cannot afford not to be a global brand because we're playing in a global marketplace. So regardless of whether a brand is in Nigeria, if you walk into stores, for example, your product is on a shelf but it's competing with products that are coming from other countries in Africa, competing with other products that are coming from outside of Nigeria. So the choices that the consumers have or a customer has expanded because their horizons have been, they're on a global, what's it called? We have Instagram, Facebook is a global TV that shows them all the possibilities that exist. So as an SME, you cannot afford to just play it small. And it doesn't really mean, when I'm saying global, it can involve elements in terms of your look, for example, when you're designing your offering. So when you're designing your offering with the needs of your audience in mind, you have to look at it not just as, okay, I'm solving this particular problem for this target audience. Are there other audiences like this that have the same needs in Benin, in Togo, in Ghana, before we even start going to the UK or the US or Canada? Because what happens is every time when your market is shrinking, maybe within your local space, you also have to expand and think about the other possibilities, because the truth is that if you're solving a particular problem here, there should also be opportunities for people that have the same problem or similar clusters of people. And if they are not, that you can find, you need to develop and think of maybe variations or modifications to what you currently have. So it's not necessarily also selling, because I've mentioned a point here. So the globally for me means obviously you are accessing markets globally, but it also means you have a global presence or outlook in terms of how your product or service is delivered, so that it stands and competes on a global or international level with any other brand. So the key thing that I want to say is, when designing your product or your service, or when looking at your product offerings, let us look at similar needs that can be replicated across geographical areas. So are there the same people that have the same needs across different zones or areas out of, our current locality.
Shayo, I learned a lot. Okay, so quickly, I think I still have 2 minutes to do a roundup quickly on our discussion today. As I said earlier, for those that are joining late, we have Shayo here today, who is a marketing expert and consultant. She runs a company called 360 Degrees SME.